What's going on, my Jack brother? Coach Scott here. In today's video, we're going to talk about whether you should track calories or macros. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos, you don't need to track at all. I'll include a link down below in the description to the video, how to get lean without tracking calories or macros. But as I mentioned in that video, I still think it's a great eye-opening and educational experience to at least track during the short term. I think it's going to serve you well through this transformation process. Now, tracking your intake is not perfect. It's not a perfect tool. There are plenty of flaws in there. You may be entering some incorrect data into your tracking app. Maybe you're logging in raw food when it really should be should be cooked food, or logging in cooked food, the weight of the cooked food when it should be raw food. And other people have entered in incorrect data into that tracking app that you're using to monitor your intake there. And food labels have been shown to be wrong as well. Plus, our bodies are always in flux. It's not like our maintenance level calories are exactly the same across the board each and every day. Even if a calorie calculator says that your maintenance level calories should be 2,700 per day, some days you may only burn 2,500 or 2,600 calories. Some days you may burn 28 or 2,900 calories, maybe even more, maybe even less. So it's always in flux, even when our lifestyle seems to be pretty consistent across the board. Some days you just may be fidgeting, hand movements a little bit more than normal. Some days you may be sitting a little bit more than normal, not really quite realize it. Some days you may be doing some activities that cause you to burn more calories throughout the day. And again, you just really don't realize it. So it's always in flux. So first, let's take a look at calories. As I mentioned, calorie calculators. I'll include a link down below in the description to the calculator on my website. You'll enter your age, height, weight, your activity level. So that's going to give you your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. That's how many calories you would consume on a daily basis to maintain your weight. Again, just an estimation. That's just to give us some sort of guideline that we really need to rely on our body's feedback, like consume that intake consistently and see how our body responds to that intake if it truly is around our maintenance level calories. And again, it's going to be different from day to day. Now, general rule of thumb is if you want to lose 1 pound per week, you would create a 500 calorie deficit. So if 2,700 calories is your maintenance level, you would consume 2,200 calories on a daily basis, and that should create a 1 pound per week weight loss. Again, just an estimate. It's going to be in flux. It's going to vary a little bit from week to week. So again, if you want to lose 2 pounds per week, you'd create a 1,000 calorie deficit. So just a general rule of thumb there. Now, calories in versus calories out, that is the foundation of any diet plan. So if you want to lose weight, lose fat, you need to create a calorie deficit, and you can do so eating whatever you want. This has been proven through various studies and little self-reported research. Over the past, we've seen the Twinkie diet, we've seen the McDonald's diet, we've seen the ice cream diet, the potato diet. All of these people were able to lose fat while just consuming like crappy processed foods. Not so much the case with the potato diet, but still, it doesn't matter so much what you're eating. It's the calorie deficit that's going to produce the weight loss. Again, this isn't a giving you permission to try to eat as much processed food as you possibly can while you're going through this fat loss process. I think that's the wrong way to approach this. I highly encourage you to aim for a calorie target while working with your natural eating tendencies in the beginning and building upon them, improving upon them. So trying to improve the quality of nutrition that you're consuming and paying close attention to how your body is responding. Because what you're consuming, so although calories in versus calories out is the foundation, all calories are not created equal. Now, that doesn't mean that calories don't matter, calories don't count. They absolutely do, but some foods will have a greater thermic effect. So thermic effect of food, they're going to burn more calories through the digestion process. So you're going to burn more calories just by eating a certain food compared to another food. Some foods just provide you with more nourishment that's going to allow you to thrive, give you more energy to perform your best throughout the day and move around more than normal. And it's going to provide you with the nourishment for your body to function and perform at its best. And the thing with just focusing on your calorie intake is that you may be not consuming an adequate amount of some macronutrients there, and that will lead us to the next thing. So let's focus on macronutrients, what it's like to just track your macros. Again, macros is based on your calorie intake, so you're going to set your macro targets based on the calorie intake that's going to serve you best. So if 2,700 calories is my maintenance. I want to lose 1 pound per week, so I'm consuming 2,200 calories per day. I'm going to base my macros on that calorie target. So a general rule of thumb when it comes to macros, again, the old bro rule of trying to aim for like 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. Fats, you're looking at between 0.3 and 0.5 grams per pound body weight, and the rest would come from carbohydrates. So the benefit of focusing on macros is that you're going to ensure that you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient. And you may notice that you just respond better to a certain macro ratio. This is why like some people who they swear like calorie tracking didn't work for me. As soon as I started tracking macros, my body started transforming. So the reason for that, even the thing is you're still hitting the same kind of calorie target, but you may not have been getting an adequate amount of protein in your diet. So maybe you weren't preserving your muscle mass while losing weight, so you're losing some muscle, which can have an impact on your metabolism, and it can have an impact on potentially gaining muscle throughout the process. Maybe you weren't consuming enough fat throughout the process by focusing just on calories, and that can have a negative impact on your hormones and kind of throw things off a little bit there. Maybe you weren't consuming enough carbohydrates, which would provide you with the fuel to perform your best, move around your best, give the best to your workouts, and even mentally focus better. Again, we're all going to be different. It really comes down to having a heightened sense of awareness with the macronutrients that we're consuming. Now, I think some people take macros too far. I've seen some people at the end of the day going, oh my God, all I have is 9 grams of fat left. I can't have any carbs or any protein, so I'm just gonna have a tablespoon of coconut oil here. Like, well, what the fuck? Like, that's a little bit obsessive and excessive. And I've seen other people, like, whether it's peanut butter or something else that's different. Like, I think it's getting a little bit too. You don't have to be as dialed in with the macros as possible there. But again, there are benefits to just making sure that you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient in your diet to allow you to thrive. Now, the approach that I take is kind of a balanced approach. Like, calories is what I focus on most. Well, just making sure I'm getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient. I never try to hit a macro target exactly, spot on. I find I naturally kind of fall around 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat, but it's never like anywhere near like exactly that each and every day. Some days it might be 45% carbohydrates and only 25% fats and 30% protein there. Some days my fats may be a little bit higher depending on if I treat myself or something like that. So it's all, some days my protein could be up a little bit higher, around 35%. So it's always in flux. The main thing is that when I'm talking about adequate, I usually try to make sure that I don't allow my protein and my fats to get below 20%, because especially fats, like getting below 20%, that's where you can start to run into some hormonal issues. At least you're not hormonally optimizing your diet in order for you to kind of feel your best, perform your best, and thrive. And I always make sure I'm getting enough carbohydrates in my diet. And again, I want to make sure like at least 20% protein there, so I've got the building blocks to at least preserve my muscle mass throughout the transformation process, and then potentially build muscle in a fat loss process, or definitely in a muscle building process as well. The other thing, like some people experience greater results with certain macro ratios, and again, they say like calories may not have worked for them, tracking macros worked for them. Again, if you have more like protein, if you weren't getting enough protein in your diet, or certain foods may just satiate you more. You're just focused on calories, and you're consuming more processed foods, and now all of a sudden you're getting more protein in your diet, and you're like, wow, I feel more satiated, I feel fuller all the time. Plus you got the thermic effect of that protein, so you're burning more calories through that. And like, so just making sure that you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient can pay huge dividends when it comes to your overall results, even though you're still aiming for the same calorie target. Again, that's why like calories are not the same. They matter. They exactly are. They definitely matter. But again, certain calories will allow you to thrive better than others. So again, I focus on the calorie target. Make sure that I'm getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient, and just making sure I'm not getting lower than 20% fats or 20% protein, just getting things kind of balanced along the board. That's all that matters to me. I'm not trying to get precise with macros, but I have a heightened sense of awareness. This is what I really want you to do. So if you're tracking your calories, keeping an eye on your macros, so you're not necessarily tracking your macros, you're not trying to hit a certain macro target, you're just keeping your eye on it. Pay attention, like the days that you do have more carbohydrates in your diet, how do you feel? Does it increase your performance, your energy? Do you feel better, or do you feel a little bit more sluggish? We're all going to be different. This is very individual. It's very personal to you. Do you notice that when you're increasing your protein intake, you feel more satiated? Maybe it's increasing your fat intake that makes you feel more satiated and feel your best. So having that heightened sense of awareness throughout this process is absolutely 100% key. It's really what this is all about. Just focusing on yourself, not worrying about what works for someone else, what ratio of proteins, fats, and carbs works best for someone else. Just focus on yourself. And again, it's never going to be an exact number. Like I really personally, like if I'm 50% carbs one day, 23% fat, 27% protein, or whatever, like in that ratio, like, and the other day I'm a little bit different, like I don't notice that much of a difference. Like it's a ballpark range for me where I'm still going to feel the same, relatively the same. So again, for yourself, pay attention. If you vary it here and there, just still like, it really doesn't matter to me as long as I'm not dipping below 20% protein and 20% fat, I'm good to go for the most part. So just have that heightened sense of awareness through the process and pay attention to the calorie intake that you're consuming. If you're consuming what you think is a 500 calorie deficit, you're not losing a pound per week. Again, it's just an estimate there, so you need to make that adjustment based on your body's feedback, not the initial calculation there. Base your any changes that you make to your diet on your body's feedback, how you're feeling, how your body is responding to that intake there. So that is truly what this is all about. I would love to hear what approach you take. Do you track calories? Do you just track macros? Do you take a similar approach that I do? Or do you just not track at all? For myself personally, I don't need to track anymore because I've put in the upfront work. I'm very structured with my nutrition. I'm very routine. And I've got a great idea in regards to my portion size. I've really developed intuitive skills through the tracking process, knowing that when I get to that point of satisfaction when I'm eating, that I can just push the plate away. I'm good. I'm done. So really having that heightened sense of awareness has paid off over the years of tracking that I don't need to do it anymore. I still do it every once in a while just to see if my eyeballing skills are good, my intuitive skills are good, but I really don't need to track calories anymore. But again, that's where I say, put in that upfront work. It's an eye-opening educational experience, but it's not something that you should use as a crutch over the long term unless you like absolutely thrive from it. Some people love crunching numbers. They love to be precise, but I don't want it to become like an obsession with you or holding you back. Only do it if it allows you to thrive over the long term there. So we'd love to hear from you. So please take a moment to drop a comment down below, share your thoughts, share insights, share your feedback on today's topic. If you enjoyed today's video, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, please do me a favor and share it with them. And before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Lose Fat, Get Jacked. Have yourself an amazing day. Catch you next video.